Hey y'all, it's Jazz, your fave mental health enthusiast, and welcome back to Jazz's Corner, where we discuss all things related to mental wellness. And in today's video, we are going to be chatting about a favorite topic of mine, which is protecting your energy. So we're going to get into the science of energy, how that practically affects our lives when we're protecting our energy, and I'm going to discuss some ways in which you can protect your energy. So if you are interested in what I have to say on the matter, then stay tuned and cue the intro. Alright, so let's get scientific with it. As a disclaimer, this section of the video is a bit abstract because I'm going to be getting into the science of energy. What is energy? What are vibrations? What is frequency? And it can be a little bit tough to wrap your head around, but I'm going to do my best. So just stick with me, I majored in something that wasn't STEM, so we're all just about to be in science class for a couple of minutes. So just, hang on and try to make it through. All right, so the first point that I would like to make is that everything is energy. I am comprised of energy, as well as you, as well as everything in the world that surrounds us. So the chair I'm sitting in, energy. The watch I'm wearing, energy. The shirt I'm wearing, energy. This fresh beat meant for the gods, energy. This fresh set of nails, energy. This hairstyle, energy. It's all energy. Are you catching my drift? If not, it's okay, because I'm about to break it down even further. So per the law of conservation of energy, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred from one form to another. So everything that has ever existed in the history of history still exists in some form, just not its original form. So I don't know whose energy I'm recycling right now, but I hope it's some good energy. All right, so the first point that I would like to make is that everything is energy, because per the law of conservation of energy, because remember y'all, I said that we were gonna get real scientific with it, so just hang on, just stick with me for a little bit longer. So per this law of conservation of energy, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred or changed from one form to another. So I don't know if y'all believe in the supernatural, but if you believe in spirits and the transference of energy, you know that if something is haunted, it has taken on the properties of maybe a spirit that used to exist, and now it's in an item of some sort, and so that item is causing some sort of haunting to occur in a house. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but that is just one way that I know how to explain it if you believe in the supernatural and the paranormal. In a broader sense, not using the paranormal as an example, that means that anything that has ever existed in the history of history still exists in some form. So that's a really trippy thought when you think about it, because it's anything that is occurring now in our daily lives is some sort of recycled energy from who knows where. So, for example, I am energy. I'm comprised of energy. I hope it's positive energy. I try to invite positive energy into my life. You are comprised of energy, and everything that goes on around us has to do with some sort of energy. You still with me? Okay. So number 2, energy vibrates. And per the law of vibration, energy is constantly moving. and it's constantly moving to the point where we can't see the individual pieces moving, we can only see the finished product. So using humans as an example, you know that humans are comprised of cells, molecules, and particles, but we can't see all of those individual pieces that are moving throughout our bodies. We only see human flesh. If this is a hard concept for you to grasp, then think about how scientists have to look through microscopes to see things that are minuscule in nature and that cannot be seen to the invisible eye. That is how energy is. It's like we can't quite see energy, but we know it's there because it takes the form of different things. So for example, this shirt that I'm wearing, all of the different, I like to call them energy pieces, all the different energy pieces are coming together to create the form of this shirt. As well as like this watch that I'm wearing, all of the different energy pieces are coming together to form this watch. And then, you know, just this makeup that I'm wearing, all the energy coming together to create this beautiful look that is meant for the gods, as well as, you know, my hair, my nails, the butterflies and backdrop behind me. All of it is comprised of energy, but it's moving at such an extreme rate that like our eyes literally cannot focus and break it down, so we only see the finished product. And believe me, I know how all of this sounds. And trust me, science only gets more trippy like the more you know about it. And that is why I could never be a STEM major when I was in school, because I remember very vividly I was sitting in one of my science classes as a freshman in college, and you know, we've all learned that we are comprised of matter, like we are all matter. But then the teacher started talking about antimatter, and I was like, oh, hold up. I finally just wrapped my mind around the concept that, you know, matter exists. And now you want to tell me that antimatter exists. Like there's just this dark version of myself just like running around and like ruining my life. Or at least that's how I personified antimatter at that time. So I know that all of this sounds trippy, but believe me, we're almost there. We're almost to the finish line. Just stick with me. Okay, look, I'm not gonna lie, this last point that I want to make is super scientific and it's a bit hard to articulate, but I'm going to try my best. So, going back to points number 1 and 2, now that we know that everything is energy and energy vibrates, this is the third point. Everything has a frequency. So, all energy is vibrating on a different frequency. And the best way that I can explain this is using music as an example. So have you ever listened to a song and it brought you so much joy and everything seemed a bit brighter in life, even if it was only for 3 minutes? Well, that song was operating at a frequency that brought on that feeling of joy and happiness and just an abundance of positivity. Now think about a song that you listened to that triggered feelings traditionally associated with sadness. So for example, remorse, regret, and even after that song was done, like you still kind of had this icky feeling. So that song was likely operating on a frequency that triggered those feelings of sadness. Music is the most popular form by which we receive frequencies, but we can actually receive frequencies from all things because remember, number 1, everything is energy. Number 2, energy vibrates. And number 3, all energy vibrates on a different frequency. So that means that we can receive frequencies from the media that we consume, and we can also receive frequencies from the individuals in our lives. All right, now class is dismissed. Thank you for bearing with me through that presentation. And now we will get into some practical ways in which we can see how energy is manifesting in our lives, and we can see how energy is having an impact on our lives. But first, since you sat through my lecture, here is a sticker of completion for making it through Jazz's crash course on energy. And to be honest, now you can go and school any one of your friends and family on energy. Like, you can literally go and sound like a whole expert out here. I'm not an expert, but you know, I trust you. You will share the knowledge and do some additional research if you feel a little bit iffy about some of the things I said. So the first way in which energy can be seen as having an actual impact on our lives is through our thoughts, because our thoughts actually have power. Our thoughts have energy associated with them, and to a certain degree, our thoughts have the ability to subconsciously shape our lived experiences. And as a side note, I am not speaking about the societal and institutional barriers that traditionally target marginalized and vulnerable communities and put them at a disadvantage. I am specifically speaking about the power that our thoughts have to influence our mental health, because I am definitely aware that to a certain extent, our lived experiences are also shaped by what's going on in the greater society. So if there are institutional barriers that say that I can't do certain things, or if there are societal barriers that shame me for existing in a certain form, so for example, I am a Black female, then that's also gonna have a lot of power. But like I said, I am specifically speaking about things that are within our control, which are namely thoughts. As an example, if you usually tell yourself things like, I suck, I don't deserve this, I don't belong here, then it is more likely that you have experienced things like low mood, low self-esteem, and self-doubt, because those thoughts are low vibrational in nature and have the ability to lower our frequencies to the point where we get trapped in the cycle, and it's harder for us to see our self-worth and to believe in ourselves and our ability to do things. The second way in which we are more likely to see how energy is impacting our lives is when we have encountered an individual who has low vibrations. And so it's a bit tricky, because usually we don't catch when we are the ones emitting low vibrations via our thoughts or something else that's going on. Like, we don't catch that, but we definitely catch when there is someone else who is emitting low vibrations via their actions and their thoughts. Have you ever just been minding your business and someone enters a room and the vibe just instantly shifts, and you can tell that this person is about to ruin the mood? That is what pop culture likes to term funky energy or bad vibes. Usually when this type of situation happens, you are not trying to have any of it, especially if you were in a good mood, you were having a good day, and then Sally Mae wants to walk in with all of her low vibrations and just drag you down, and you are not trying to have any of it. But I am here to say that a lot of the time, people who are emitting low vibrations often don't realize that they're doing it, and they could be doing it for a number of reasons. So for example, it could be mental health related, where they are trapped in a cycle, as I mentioned earlier. They're trapped in a cycle of maybe some negative thinking, and it's gotten to the point where they can't see how they are coming off to others. Or it could just be that one person who doesn't want you to win, because those people also exist. There are some people who are intentionally low vibrational, but for the most part, people there are people who emit low vibrations without really realizing it, and that is not their intention. It sucks either way if you're, you know, of good mind and spirit. But I wanted to make sure to make that distinction. There are some people out there who just don't want you to win, but there are some people who truly don't understand how they're coming off. In any case, you usually know when you are in contact with someone who is emitting low vibrations, because you just get that feeling, that feely feel, that feels feely. And that was my poor rendition of Mr. Krabs' smelly smell that smells smelly. I hope you got the reference. Moving along, when you are in contact with someone who is emitting low vibrations, they could display a number of characteristics. They could have a negative mood. They could be engaging in some sort of self-sabotage because they don't believe that they are worthy of certain things. They could be displaying judgmental behaviors or complaining a lot, or they could just be focusing solely on themselves, and it's almost as if you don't even exist. One thing that I'm not about to do is get in front of this camera and act as if I am holier than thou. So with that being said, I have a mini story time about how I at one point was the person who was emitting low vibrations. So it was a midsummer's eve. I'm just playing. I went through a period in my life where I was very, very anxious around groups, people, just other individuals. And I mean, like, I still feel a bit awkward around groups and other people and being in social situations, but at this point in my life in particular, it was pretty bad. Like, I always stayed home. I never went out. I would decline invitations from other individuals to hang out, and it just got to the point where I didn't even really trust that my friends wanted to be friends with me. And so whenever they would like extend invitations to hang out, I would decline. And it's like very counterproductive, because it's like, if your friends are inviting, that's rude. I don't know if y'all heard that. It was a truck. I live by like a very busy street. Anyway, it's a bit counterproductive. It's like, if your friends are extending invitations, it's because they want to hang out with you, and it probably means that they like you and want to be around you. But like I said earlier, y'all, when you get trapped in that cycle of negative thinking, it really warps your sense of reality and what is real and what isn't, and it can distort your perceptions. And so I was just like, oh no, they're just being nice. Like, they don't actually want to hang out with me. Yeah, Jazz, they did want to hang out with you, but that's neither here nor there. So as you can see, this fear of going outside of my house and making connections with others, it made it to where I was very hesitant to live my life, essentially. Like, I wanted to hang out with my friends, I wanted to meet new people, but I was just like so anxious about it. And I was engaging in counterproductive behaviors where it's like, I want to live my life, but I'm always at home eating ice cream and watching Netflix. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, the dots do not connect. And so at some point, you know, I decided to work through that, and I realized that I was emitting low vibrations, because at some point one of my friends pulled me to the side and they were like, hey, I really want you to come and hang out with me and my friends, but like, you usually always say no, and my friends think it's a bit off-putting. And at the time, I took it a little bit personally, because I was just like, I am as sweet as can be. Like, what do you mean? Like, like, oh my goodness, it's off-putting. My behavior is off-putting. Like, I'm just out here trying to be a slice of humble pie. Like, I don't understand. And then at some point I had to cut the crap and be honest with myself and say, of course it's off-putting to these people who don't even know you, when you are repeatedly refusing to go out with them and even make an attempt to get to know them. Because this is the one thing. At this point, me and the friend who pulled me to the side, we have been friends for about 4 or 5 years. And clearly, I was not like this when we first met. Through a series of unfortunate events that happened to me, I became more anxious, but I had to really get into how I was before those events happened. They just so happened to know me from what I deem as the before times, like before the trauma, before the sadness, before the disappointment, before the series of unfortunate events. But these new people who are trying to get to know me, they only know me now in the present. They don't know the Jazz that existed before all of these things. And so, of course, it would be off-putting to them when they're trying to get to know me and I am actively like putting this wall up and just emitting very low vibrational energy that communicates, who are you? I don't want to know you. I don't have time for this. I would rather eat ice cream and watch Netflix. So I really had to like sit myself down and tell myself to simmer down. And thankfully I am in a much better place now. But it is honestly, the reason why I'm telling this story is this could happen to anyone. You can blink and all of a sudden not even realize that you are the one emitting low vibrational energy. Like, looking back, I wouldn't have wanted to hang out with myself. And child, that's real talk. Like, I love myself. I have so much love for myself. I have so much acceptance for all of the things that I've been through. But if I was trying to get to know me in that period of time, like, child, I wouldn't be bothered either. I don't even blame them. It is what it is. It's all good now. We're all like cool now. I'm not like BFFs with my friends, but we have an understanding. They can definitely see the growth and they can see how far I have come from never wanting to hang out with them to, you know, sometimes I'll just tell my friend, tell your friends I said hey. Or if I so happen to see them, you know, I'll wave, engage in some small talk. Like, it's all good. I have grown from that period of my life. So I guess the more important thing is when you finally do catch yourself emitting low vibrational energy, it's more so like, how do you proceed? What do you do about that? Because it's like you can make the choice to continue emitting low vibrational energy, or you can make the choice to go another path and see what awaits you there on that path. And what has awaited me there on that path is, yes, I can eat ice cream and watch Netflix, but I can also go out and have a good time and meet new people, and it doesn't have to be like this super scary thing. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like this super intimidating thing. Like, y'all, it was bad to the point where if I was in restaurants, like, I would be scared to order. And I wouldn't even get up. Like, if I had to blow my nose or something like that, like, I wouldn't even get up to like throw the paper towel away. I would just put it in my pocket. That's actually really gross. I don't know why I just said that. Anyway, I just had so much fear and anxiety, and it was just like radiating in all different directions. Yeah, no, but we're good now. Moving on. People who emit low vibrational energy aren't inherently bad. They just aren't aware of the vibes that they are giving off in their interactions with others. And so that is why I don't like to say low vibrational people, because that is very like labely, and I feel like There are times when all of us are emitting low vibrational energy, but that doesn't mean that we are low vibrational people. It could just be a snapshot in time. It could just be a moment in our lives. We're having a bad day. We accidentally project. We accidentally displace our anger onto somebody else. It happens. So I prefer to say people who are emitting low vibrational energy, because that makes it seem more temporary, if that makes sense, because that's more so the case for a lot of individuals. In any case, this video is about how to protect your energy when engaging with someone who is emitting low vibrational energy, because it can definitely be draining at times. Side note, this is not the type of video that is going to tell you to cut people out of your life at the drop of a dime when they emit even an ounce of low vibrational energy under the guise of you don't need that in your life. Because one, we all go through things, and I would hope that my friends and family extend the same grace and compassion and empathy that I extend to them when they are going through things. Because like I said, sometimes it could be mental health related. Sometimes we're just going through some things. It's not an excuse, but it also doesn't warrant such rigid boundaries. Check out my boundaries video if you haven't already. So it doesn't necessitate just cutting off every single person that emits even like a drop of low vibrational energy. And number two, you will come in contact with people who emit low vibrational energy, and you won't be able to quite cut them off the way that you want to until much later, and after you have most likely tried various interventions. So yeah, this video is more so about how you can mind your own P's and Q's, make sure that your energy is cool, and if that involves cutting someone off, then so be it. I just didn't want to promote that is like the first thing that we should be doing. All right, so the first way that you can protect your own energy is shifting your inner monologue with yourself, because as I said earlier in this video, everything is energy, including our thoughts. So if you say something to yourself like I suck, then it might be more helpful to shift that thought to where it's not excessively pessimistic in nature and say something more along the lines of, oh hey, I'm like not really that great at this one thing, but I mean it's okay because there's like other things that I'm pretty good at, so I mean there's that's cool too. Because remember, like I said in my comparison video, we can't win at everything. I will give a personal example. It is only in like the last year or so that I've gotten fairly comfortable with cooking, and I have like a mini cookbook filled with recipes that I feel comfortable making. And before that, like child, it was atrocious. Anytime I tried to cook, it was wild. It didn't work out. Like the food was edible and it was okay, but I've just had way too many stories of where I thought I was gonna shine and then I didn't shine. So I could have definitely just been like, oh, I suck at cooking, like wow, I need food to live and I can't even like make sustenance for myself, like this is I'm stupid, like wow, I can't even get the basics right. But instead I worked through whatever qualms I had about cooking, and I just kept trying recipes over and over and over again. And in the process of like getting better about cooking, I still extended myself some grace. So I don't know, just like I'll give y'all a couple of times that I tried to make something and it just didn't pan out well. There was one time I was trying to make spaghetti, and for whatever reason I was blanking in my mind and I forgot to season the meat, and then I like fed it to one of my friends and she was like, this is good. And then like, I don't think she ever knew that the meat wasn't seasoned, but you better bet your bottom dollar that the meat is always seasoned now. So that was one time that I totally failed at cooking, didn't season the meat. There was another time where I was baking cookies, but for whatever reason, once again I blanked, and for like a good 2 months, instead of baking the cookies, I was broiling the cookies. And I like to put a positive twist on it these days and say that, you know, it's just gonna be the family recipe that I pass down to my children, my grandchildren. They can pass it down to their children, because nobody had anything negative to say about my cookies until they found out that they were broiled. So you don't have to fess up about everything, like every mistake that you make. There was also this time where I was cooking, and I was putting oil on the pan, and I got like really freaked out because the pan was really hot, so the oil started like popping, and I got like really freaked out. So I took the pan off of the stove, and I put it on my plastic garbage can because I was so anxious. I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to remove it from the heat source immediately. And now there's a permanent reminder on my plastic garbage can that you should not do that. So yeah, I just have all these stories about how I used to not be great at cooking, and you know, I could have like beat myself up after every single time, but you know, I decided to just roll with the punches and know that there's other things that I'm really good at. So for example, I would like to think that I'm really good in terms of I like to write stories. I also like to talk about mental wellness. I also like to create what I deem as iconic looks, at least for me. And I just like to, I'm like really academic minded. Like I love to have like discussions about like intellectual topics, or honestly anything. So yeah, those are definitely things that I feel like I'm good at. And while I was going through that process of learning to be a better cook, I just didn't want to engage in putting myself down throughout that process, because it's already hard enough when you're trying to like get those skills up. So, you know, mind your inner dialogue, monologue with yourself, and be kind to yourself. The second way in which you can protect your own energy is to set and maintain boundaries. And of course, I have a whole video on that if you would like to check it out. But if there is an individual that you are in contact with and you find that they are frequently emitting low vibrational energy, then it could be beneficial to set some boundaries around your interactions with that person, even if it's a family member. So if there's a family member that is coming at you with some musty energy, then it could be beneficial to set some boundaries around when and how often you engage with that family member. So for example, maybe you don't answer every single call or text, and maybe the boundary is completely cutting off that person, and that is okay as well. It is ultimately what is best for you. The last way that I'd like to talk about in terms of protecting your own energy is working through your own stuff, because as I said earlier, sometimes we are the ones with musty energy, and the best way to protect our energy is to do the internal work and work through our stressors and triggers and trauma. And in doing so, we are less likely to put up with individuals who are not doing that inner work, hence setting and maintaining boundaries. So that brings me to the end of another video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it as always. I'd love to hear in the comments below some of your thoughts regarding what I talked about in this video. And if you liked what I had to say on the matter, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. I would appreciate that, as well as subscribing to my channel so that you can hear my commentary on other topics related to mental wellness. I will pop my my Instagram over here if you'd like to give that a follow. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Jazz out. Don't forget to give yourself a hug and drink some water.